Hello, I'm Michael Jacobi, executive producer of Jazz on the Plazz and host of Raising the Standards at KCAT Radio Santa Cruz. And this is Jazz Tonight. Welcome as we continue our 2017 series on our homage to the great Billie Holiday. Delighted that joining us it's in the studio today, and you'll be seeing this later after the show, but delighted on this evening to be welcoming Natalie Douglas. Hello, Natalie.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
So good to see you. And,
You too.
And you have just kind of blown into town.
Yes, very
we
much
just
so.
got here in time.
Yes, just made it. We were in San Diego, then Los Angeles last night, and then we came up here today to be with you all.
Well, we appreciate that. I know you're a Manhattan girl.
Yes.
Where do you live in the city?
In 83rd.
Okay.
On the no, that's my old apartment. 80th.
80th.
Yeah. 80.
Okay.
I'm originally from Los Angeles. So,
Okay. So you bi-coastal.
technically, with like a 20-year break.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, nobody said it was a quick trip. I walked. Grew up in L.A. It's the obligatory question of growing up with how much music was in the house.
Oh, every day, all the time,
Folks
constantly.
into music?
No, they both sang and they both really loved music, but neither one, professionally. But there was so much music at home, and my mom taught me to sing when I was 4, and they
Oh,
took
no.
me-
You have to tell the story you told. This is great.
Okay.
You were on my radio show
Yes,
the other
I
day.
was.
And what song did your mom teach you when you were 4?
You'll never know.
And it was to get you out of the kitchen.
It was, yes. She was trying to make dinner, and she had just come home from work and was trying to cook, and I was exceedingly talkative, which
Yeah.
you can
Go
probably
figure.
imagine, and asking a lot of questions, and she came up with a brilliant plan of teaching me a song and sending me to my room to rehearse it.
Yeah.
And if I nailed it, I could come back and perform at dinner, which is my first dinner theater job. And I not only learned the song, I created a little tag at the end. So that was my first arrangement. And I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Now, we should point out that you waited till you were 11 to do Lush Life. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I had to get a little life.
Yeah,
a little
you don't
age
want to
on
look
me.
back.
No.
Of all the very
11,
gay
world
places, we're
weary,
gonna wait.
then yeah.
So very young, needless to say. Now, your mom sang at church?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in the way that everyone does. She loved singing. She liked doing it, but she never did it professionally.
Okay.
No, but she enjoyed it. We sang around the house. We sang in the car, because in L.A., the show I did last night, I did a lot of the songs I grew up with, and said, I learned these songs sitting in a car, driving from place
Well,
to place.
that's the
in LA.
problem. If you get talkative on a road trip, you're suddenly in the trunk learning more than you know.
No.
How about your dad?
My dad loved music. Neither sang
played?
nor played, but he had a big, lovely bass voice. So when we were doing the crazy sing-alongs at the house for some party thing, we could count on Dad to do the lowest notes in that.
Daddy sang bass.
Yes, exactly.
What about siblings?
Just me.
Just you?
Yeah, just me.
So you were the star.
Yeah, sort of. Spoiled rotten,
Yeah.
But they were great parents for a little kid. They just, a lot of opportunities. I went to a lot of theater, a lot of opera, and Count Basie Orchestra every year.
We had talked about you when you were young. You actually saw. I'm going blank. One of my Nina Simone.
Oh yes, at the Hollywood Bowl, I think it was.
How special.
It was amazing. It was spectacular. I mean, you knew she was special. It was a wonderful day. Those events were, one amazing talent after another. But you could tell she was special. There was a reverence. And at a certain point when she, because those were all-day events and people are seated there with their food and they're chit-chatting and she came out and she played one number, and then before the second number, she just sort of sat. And you kind of thought, oh, she's not, is she waiting? What? I'll wait. Okay. And then people put their food away. And I was very impressed. She made the adults behave. Yeah, she was amazing.
Oh, and she is far from a one-trick pony, but her version of "I Love You, Porgy" is definitive.
Yeah. It's stunning. I have a Nina Simone tribute show. Well, actually, I have a couple of them. And it's on my second album, which is the Nina. Her version of it is just so deep, and that's the thing that she brings to songs. That sort of deep understanding.
Do tribute shows scare you?
No, I mean,
Are they inherently, though? I mean, you don't want it, I would assume, not to come off as an imitation.
Oh, no, because
right.
I don't do that.
Right.
My dear friends will tell you I'm really bad at impressions. But there's so many influences that I admire, not just for their artistry, but in many cases also for their activism and their political point of view, and their bravery. And so I want to celebrate that, and I hope to inspire the audience, because I always know when you do a Nina tribute, or the next show we're doing is a Sammy Davis Jr. tribute, there are people who come who are serious fans and they know everything, and there are people who come who know a little, they're dabblers, and there may be people who come who don't know anything, and you want all of those people to get excited by something that you're doing. I hope that we're all going to have this wonderful moment of celebrating the beauty of that work.
And whether it's, and I know you've done Billie Holiday, you've done some Ella, right?
Yeah, well, Ella was part of the Cafe Society show that I did, which is
We're doing Ella next year. So
I
it's interesting.
love Ella. Yeah.
But those, the marvelous thing is there's the Great American Songbook, and then there's Sinatra's Great American Songbook, and then there's Sammy's, and they have such an interesting, or Dinah Washington for that matter, what a marvelous catalog of her own, and that must be fun to tap into.
Yeah, well, it's always fun when I start to do the research to find the things that they have in common, the songs you don't realize Sammy covered and Nina covered and Billie covered. I have a show called For Women, which is a tribute to Abby Lincoln, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, and Lena Horne, because of all the overlap, because of the places where they admired one another, where they sang the same songs, where they had the same point of view about certain things, and the places they differed. But Abby adored Billie, worshipped her, and like many singers coming up, wanted to be like her in every way, and was lucky enough to be working when Billie was still with us.
Well, we alluded to I Love You, Porgy, and of course, now Sammy was in the and I don't know if the movie is even available anymore. Played Sport and Life in the film.
I think it is,
And
but I don't.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's amazing.
Is it?
I saw it once, one of those summer festivals where you go out and sit on
And
the
who else
lawn.
is in
And Sidney Poitier, and it's not Dorothy Dandridge, is it? Is
It might be.
It might be, because
yeah.
I get it confused with Carmen Jones.
And did George Kirby have a role in it, or I thought he had some kind of cameo. May have. I don't remember.
He may have.
But it's interesting, and Sammy, who I had a chance of interviewing years ago, had such. His catalog was so interesting, but when he wasn't the cuckoo cuckoo, his thing that he did with Lorendo Almeida was over the top.
That entire album is amazing.
Yeah.
And the when he toasted the Hollywood Palace, which I've been watching lots of, preparing for this, he would go from a segment where he was doing a goofy thing with the stars of the Mod Squad. So 1969, 1970, Peggy Lipton, who at the time was Peggy Lipton Jones, married to Quincy Jones.
Right.
And the other two stars doing like a goofy bit, because he had just done a dramatic role on that cop show for ABC. And then they come on and do silliness with him. And then from that, he goes immediately to a tap number that he does with, I think it's 6 major drummers of the period.
Yeah.
So Buddy Rich, Joe,
Chico Hamilton, those
yeah,
things,
like percussionists, and he goes from one to one, and they trade off taps and sound, like percussion, and then the orchestra comes in, and all of them do this amazing, huge number, and you can tell that it's all one take.
Yeah.
There's a live studio audience, and there's no break there. They may have done it more than once, but
when Sammy was close to the end, remember they did that special that Sinatra was on, but what was the marvelous thing when Gregory Hines came out?
It was spectacular. Yeah, they adored each other. We were actually talking about that the other day, that there has been a Sammy musical in the works for some time, and Gregory would have been the perfect guy to do it, but they're both gone, so who's
Sabian Glover's still?
Yes, Sabian's a little older now
Yeah.
than, and also his style is a little loose-limbed compared, like sort of Gregory was the bridge between the two of them.
Gregory did a thing with Baryshnikov.
I
What
love
was that? White Nights?
That movie, White Nights. I love that
was a great
movie.
film.
I know.
That was a great film.
It was crazy. It was so 80s and fabulous.
Yeah, it was so 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so growing up, so apparently you got back to the table, so you memorized
Yes.
the tune.
Yes, I did.
You did know.
I knew.
You did know.
I learned it.
So at what point do you say, I'm enjoying this, I have fun? I gotta try to think about doing this.
Doing this for real? Honestly, it was when I was singing in a couple open mic nights and bars. I had a friend who had a gig at a steakhouse playing guitar, and he knew a lot of songs, but he didn't sing a lot of songs. He had a couple songs that he would sing, so he started getting requests for things that he could play, but he couldn't sing. And he said, why don't you come visit me? Because I think I know a lot of songs. I have this crazy thing where I learn things, and mostly they're in there. Yeah. So I came a couple of times. He worked Sundays and Mondays, and I came on a Sunday night once and sat with him and sang things that he got requests for that he didn't know. And by the end of the night, the manager said, look, we can't pay you, but we'll feed you a steak dinner. And I was like, I think 19 or something, and I thought, fabulous.
Food's good.
That's good. Steak is delicious. I love that. And so I started doing that, and I was suddenly in situations where I was singing for strangers, because in high school and in college, for the most part, I sang for people that knew me and loved me, and when they say that you're good, you believe them, but and suddenly strangers were saying that I was good, and and I thought, So I went to visit friends in New York, and they took me to a piano bar because they wanted me to sing in New York, and the manager heard me sing and called me over, actually sent a waitress to the table, and she said, Danny wants to see you. I didn't know who Danny was, but I got up and went back, and he said, you want a job? Yeah. And I said, I don't live here. I live in LA. And he goes, well, move here and I'll give you a job. So that's what I did. And suddenly I was waiting tables and bartending and singing in New York. And it was great. It was an amazing training ground. I met some brilliant people. I learned a lot of songs, and I learned how to deal with audiences.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
As you well know, you need to get out and do your craft, and that's how it works.
That's what I tell people all the time who say, what advice do you get?
What
And
should
do
I
it.
do? Go out and do it.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Anywhere, everywhere. When you have to say yes to everything for a while.
We're talking to Natalie Douglas here on Jazz Tonight, direct from the Grog and Sirloin in Paramus, New Jersey.
I don't work there anymore.
But you can get all the beer you want. We're gonna take a break and hear from our lovely sponsor. We love them, O'Connor Hospital, part of Verity Health.
At O'Connor Hospital, we're restoring health together. Step by step, together. Because care is better together. O'Connor, together in health. At O'Connor Hospital, we're shortening your wait time. Because in an emergency, every minute counts. This is our commitment to you. O'Connor Hospital, together in health.
Welcome back to Jazz Tonight. Michael Jacobi with you, with Natalie Douglas. Let's talk about Billie Holiday.
Okay.
She's behind us, and we're so thrilled. We started doing this 5 or 6 years ago, where we do a theme, and it's worked out wonderfully.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And you're going to do tonight, and by the time this airs, you will have done tonight, Strange Fruit, which Antonia Bennett said to me, I'd love to do the song, but a white girl doing that song is just not going to work. Tell me, because it is such an iconic song. And I mean, someone told me once, you can't do Lush Life until you got a little experience.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the kind of song.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our mutual friend Paula West said, I'm not doing that.
I know. I understand. I mean, I didn't do it for years.
Well, talk about the tune. And the metaphor is about lynching.
I did a show in 2008, which was a celebration of a club in New York called Cafe Society, which opened 70 years 1938 earlier, and it was the first purposefully integrated club in the United States. And the man who opened it had Billie Holiday as his headliner. And he found this song. Abel Maripool had written it, a school teacher in Brooklyn.
And what year are we talking?
We're talking 1938.
Okay.
Billie was the headliner. She's running, and he thinks Billie Holiday should sing the song. So he calls Billie to the club one day and has Abel come and play the song for her. And he says, "You got to sing the song." And she said, "I can't sing the song. That's, oh." But he sort of convinced her. And he also was really, really theatrically smart and knew how to set it up. Yeah. She closed the set with it. There was a pin spot on her face. And no matter how the crowd screamed, she never came back after that. So she started singing it, and people went nuts.
So cleverly, I mean, how do you open this set?
Exactly, it'll be brilliant. No, but I couldn't do that show celebrating those people and that great achievement without, singing that song. So I had to tackle it, and I realized, sometimes a lot of our history isn't pretty. Some of the history of our music and our lives and our country is tough, but we can't just push it away. We have to be aware of it, and we have to celebrate to what degree we've left it behind, and we have to acknowledge to what degree we haven't, So some of the songs we sing are not always fun.
It's such, well, it's obviously an provocative lyric, if you will, intriguing. But it reminds me of Nature Boy. It has that kind of pacing to it.
And similar in the sense that the people who created it were not songwriters by
they're more
trade.
poets,
Each were. But somebody said to Abel Maripool, "Why did you write this? You're a nice Jewish man."
I was going to say, he's a white guy, right?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
a school teacher in Brooklyn. Why did you write this song? And he said, "I knew it was happening, lynching, and I knew it was wrong, and I thought somebody ought to do something," which is brilliant,
You talk about history. We are 15 miles, I think, from the last lynching in this country was in St. James Park in San Jose. So, getting clipped.
Yeah.
Well, it's exciting that you're going to do that.
I'm looking forward to it.
We thank you for that. So let's talk about Billie.
Sure.
What, as I've said originally, she was blessed by angels and tormented by demons. So she'd been there and lived that.
Yeah.
And that era, I mean, Anita O'Day, I mean, it was like, Bird. I mean, heroin was everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, it goes back to Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, you get from a creative standpoint, you say to yourself, what would make me more creative, better at my craft? And if you happen to be good on a night that you're messed up, well, okay, man, that'll help.
Well, I also think there's some just inherent in people who are creative and people who are outside the mainstream a bit for whatever reason. It may be their talent that takes them, just that one step off beat. Life can be hard, life can be painful, and they can want to escape. And also, I think a lot of people just tend to be adventurous, tend to be interested in experimentation. Try a thing, not thinking, well, that's the thing that's eventually going to kill me. I mean,
of course,
it's so some of it's luck. But Billie was somebody said, that when you listen to her sing, you're listening to her wound, And I think, yes, that's true. She's willing to be that open and vulnerable. But I also think you're listening to her core, like the strength underneath it, that she was going to keep going.
And being in the 30s, being black, being a woman, and the recording industry, what it was. I mean,
not just the recording industry,
and the society, it was.
The country, it was tough.
Get me a needle.
So I think a lot of
hold on to the pig foot and the beer. I mean, I need a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there was escape.
So. When you do her show, you do the early and the later stuff, with the stuff with strings, which of course was Lady in Satin. Yeah. And you do early stuff.
Yeah, we do some of the early stuff that some of the playful stuff, and then some of the darker stuff, and some of the stuff later in the career. And it's just really fascinating to listen to the way the voice enriches.
It is so interesting because I speak with artists when we're doing this thing. So what are you going to do in like the first 5 out of the 10 said, well, we can do Them, Their Eyes.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. And then I'll say, well, how about Strange Fruit? No, I can't do that. And I said, well, do I'm a Fool to Want You. So let's do
don't you love that
something.
song? Yeah.
Let's just do something
I love
else.
I Cover the Waterfront.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know,
next year I'm scared to death I'm going to have 9 versions of Tisket and Tasket, and I don't want to go there.
But well, you just have to start before, like about 6 months before or
That's
3
right,
months.
I guess.
You have to start
That's
telling
right.
people, hey, listen to
And
this
I
album.
always have to preface it by saying, I would never dream of telling you what
Yes.
to play.
But
However,
if you're interested,
however,
yeah.
however.
Yeah. But in both cases, they recorded so many things. There's a wealth of material, you know. There's so much that you can choose.
You do a version of what you're going to do for me, Loving That Man of Mine.
Yes.
Do you find yourself gravitating a little bit toward musical numbers from shows?
Yes, not always.
No,
but yes. I mean, but one of the reasons that Billy and Nina, they're my idols is because they sang whatever they wanted to sing, and they didn't really care where it came from. You know, Sammy was the same way. My parents had, like I said, this great record collection. So they had 78s of South Pacific and Oklahoma and an American in Paris. But they also had a Patsy Cline collection and a Dolly Parton collection. And they had Ray Charles and Lena and Nina. So it's this wealth of material from which I can draw. And yeah, I like a show tune. I like a story song. I like a song that makes me feel things and tells me something, you know. So story songs.
It's interesting because, I mean, Billie Holiday, whose music and talent crosses so many areas. Patsy Cline's the same way.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Patsy Cline did some stuff that was just just scary.
And some of the stuff that she recorded because of the orchestration and the twang in her voice, the cry in her voice, it's identified as country music. But if you take those songs out of that idiom, you know, it's a torch song.
Absolutely.
Strange is a torch song.
We've got a couple of minutes left. Folks, how many CDs do you have?
I brought some.
No, I know you brought some, but how many have you? How many do you have?
I recorded 3.
Okay, are those available on your website?
They're available on the website and on iTunes. And we have one in the can, a new one that we're ready to finish, but you know we're not.
You with a label? Or you
No,
producing
it's my label.
It's your label. It's my label.
It is.
And what would the label be called?
It's WBG Productions, which stands for Wrong Black Girl.
Wrong Black Girl. Well, tonight, in this case, it couldn't be more of Right Black Girl. We are delighted that you're here.
I'm happy to be
It's going to be a marvelous show. When you see this, I promise you, and I've said this before, but you will kick yourself that you weren't there that night. Again, website?
Website is nataliedouglas.com.
Okay. A joy to see you.
Lovely to see you
It's
too.
so nice of you.
Thanks
to
for
come.
having me.
You know what? And tonight, if you want like 2 steaks, we'll take care of you.
Ooh,
And, yeah,
wow.
we pay pretty good out here.
This is a good job. I like it. Thanks, Los Gatos.
A big thanks to the folks at O'Connor Hospital, part of Verity Health, and to you folks, and thank you for helping keep jazz alive. That's Jazz Tonight. I'm Mike Jacobi. Have a great week.